like for example, you finish early, I could help you with that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So we right now we are live. Okay. So, buenos días, ¿cómo están? Bueno, hoy tenemos un super invitado, se llama Umer Khalid. Eh, Él, bueno, nos va a dar una charla bastante interesante. La charla va a ser en inglés. La idea es que haya, digamos, como interacción en el chat. Las preguntas que tengan las pueden hacer en español o en inglés. Yo le voy a estar ayudando a él, pues, como con todo el proceso. Entonces, ya vamos a empezar. Entonces, hello, Homer. Thank you to be here with us. Um, this space is uh, a great opportunity to share thoughts about the like a great topic that you brings us here. So you could introduce yourself. We met in he is from Vancouver. He's living in Vancouver right now. I met Omer there in a meetup. So he this like this space is it was planning for about 6 months ago, but for finally we are here in this space. So thank you very much to be here with us.
Thank you so much, Andres, and welcome everyone for this to this live broadcast for this amazing topic that we're gonna talk about. And I've been meaning to talk about this. I've been doing a lot of talks here and there, but to go live on YouTube and to be able to share with the bigger audience is something that I wanted to do. And thank you so much, Andres, for giving me the platform to actually come here and give a talk to a bigger, much bigger audience. And basically, like the idea is for this one is to give you a little bit of a brief of how you can use AI agents in your current workflow, what you're doing right now, whether you're a software developer, an engineer, or if you're not even that, if you're just on, on some clerical work that you do, whether it's emails that you send every single day. This topic is definitely for you. It's gonna really help you boost your productivity by at least 500%. And that's a bold statement. Like 500% isn't a small a target to achieve, but I think you can do this if you follow what I teach today. So with that in mind, I'll just go ahead and share my screen. So Andres, please put the screen on there, and we'll go and start. So first off, I just wanna give you a little bit of of brief of myself, so I'm not talking without any experience. I do have a lot of experience, and that is why I'm right here in front of you talking and giving you a little bit of an advice. I have about 8 years of full stack development experience. You can scan this barcode that you see on the screen to actually connect with me on LinkedIn. I've worked in many different sectors. I've worked in fintech, I've worked in blockchain, I've also worked in the health industry, I've also worked with the government. So it's a lot of different things here and there that I've worked for and worked at. And so, with that in mind, let's just go ahead and start our topic. So, first question I want to ask you is, how can I create agentic workflow? Right. So that's something that every developer knows right now. Like there's something called AI agents and something called an agentic workflow, but they really don't know what the agentic workflow is. So I'll put it in the I'll leave it to you to add some comments in the YouTube chat. But basically, that is a question that you should keep in mind is, okay, whatever work that you do, whether it's sending emails, whether it's working hands-on on a system, whether it's developing an architecture of the system, you can use agentic workflow within your system that you have right now, or within your work that you have right now. And I'm going to show you how you can implement it. So first things first, you need to know the ABCs of AI agents, because without knowing the basics of AI agents, I can't really tell you how to include them into your project. To know about AI agents, you really need to know what exactly is not an AI agent. Because if you know what is not an AI agent, is easier, much easier to understand what is an AI agent. So here we go. So first up, repeat after me. An automation workflow with ChatGPT is not an AI agent. Also, if somebody tells you that sell me this pen, it's an AI agent. Oh, that doesn't make it an AI agent. So you need to be very, it's funny and all, but really right now there's a lot of confusion around. Okay, what exactly is an AI agent? And so to explain it to you better, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what is not an AI agent. So first thing that is not an AI agent is macros. So what are macros? Well, if you create something of a program on Google Chrome, or any sort of browser, which basically clicks on a few buttons, and every time you run it, it just clicks on a few buttons, enters the form, fields, and then submits the form. Or if you create a macro which opens up an Excel file, copies the data from one column and pastes it to the column B. Um, Maybe even if it makes it bold and saves it, it doesn't make it an AI agent. The reason why it doesn't make it an AI agent is because it's not thinking, it's not understanding the problem. It's just doing what it's supposed to do, following the instructions step by step, but there's no understanding of the system. So the artificial intelligence part of it is not there. The second thing, which is not an AI agent, is one shot prompting. So if you write on ChatGPT to write you an essay of 250 words, um, and if I was the one writing the prompt, I would probably write why I'm dead inside, write an essay on that. So if you ask ChatGPT to write an essay, that doesn't make it an AI agent. And I'll tell you why it doesn't make it an AI agent. But just know that when you're talking to the GPTs or natural language processors directly without having any feedback loop, that is not AI agents. That is just one shot prompting. Next up is the ML model with no adaptation. So if there's no adaptation, and you're using an AI model, whether it's Claude, whether it's GPT's models, whatever model that you're using, O1 or whatever, it using a model to extract information or to convert information doesn't make it AI agent. So that's another thing that you should keep in mind. Also, the if then logic. So if you're creating an automation system where you're putting, if this happens, do this, if this happens, do this, else do this, that if then logic does not make it an AI agent. So let's move those things aside, and that's gonna make the AI gods a little bit unhappy, I know, because I'm kind of explaining what they do behind the scenes. But let's look at this chart over here, which shows you exactly the differences between the non-agentic workflow and the agentic workflow, and also going one step ahead of what we might expect in a few years time, which is basically going to be the end of humanity as we know it, uh, which is when the artificial general intelligence or AGI comes in. But basically, like the non-agentic workflow, zero shot or one shot prompting, when you do that, that is only one pass execution. So if you do like a one prompt to chat GPT and say, okay, complete a ta- complete this task for me, without going in iterations, like without going again and again, repeating and improving that output that chat GPT gives you, that's called um, zero shot or one shot prompting, which means that that is not an agentic workflow. So this over here is non-agentic workflow. If we talk about agentic workflow is step by step execution. So agentic workflow would actually take the task, and then it would break it down into smaller stages. So there would be one called planning, maybe another one for research, then drafting, then revising, and then it would go step by step to each of those tasks. Sorry. And then it would actually complete those tasks. That would be an agentic workflow. The next thing is, in the non-agentic workflow, there's no revisions, there's no adjustments. So if there's no refinements on the output that the AI model is giving you, that is a non-agentic workflow. Whereas the agentic workflow will give you a feedback loop, whereas it will keep on reiterating the output that it gives you until it meets a certain criteria. So that's kind of a sneak peek into an agentic workflow, where it keeps on giving you the feedback loop and keeps on iterating on the output it gives you until it meets that certain criteria that you give it. That's basically agentic workflow as well. Now, if we talk about AGI, which is the totally independent um, artificial intelligence, well, here the AI would be totally independent, making decisions on its own and iterating without human involvement. So you can see that in the agentic workflow there might be some involvement of human input to be able to complete the task, whether it's getting the input, or whether it's during the iteration process is when the human gets involved. But with the AGI, the artificial general intelligence, which is quote unquote doom of humankind, is basically when the AI is able to make the decisions on its own without any human involvement, and it's also able to adapt and make decisions on its own. So I know that sounds a lot like Terminator, but that's basically what AGI is. So now we're going to talk about the different AI patterns. So AI agents have y- like when we talk about AI agents, well, they're using one of the three patterns, and we're going to talk about each one of those patterns. So first up, we're going to talk about the reflection pattern. This reflection pattern is the basic way of implementing an AI agent. So in order to create an AI agent, or in order to understand an AI agent, if you understand the patterns of how AI agents are created, you'll have a better idea of which the system that you're using, for example, or the system that you're creating, or the workflow that you're creating, whether it's an AI agent or not. So the first thing the first pattern for AI agents is the reflection pattern. Let's talk about reflection pattern here. So the reflection agentic workflow, the definition of it is that it involves an AI system that executes a task iteratively while reflecting on its past outputs, and then refines its approach based on the feedback. So that involves human interaction, or it could be self-evaluated, and it improves itself or improves the output over multiple iteration. Now if that definition breaks your brain a little bit, I have a simpler definition for this. So To give you an example of this, I'll give you example of an AI writing assistant. So let's say if you want to create an AI agent based on AI writing assistant, you're creating an AI agent for AI writing assistant, which will help you or assist you in writing an essay, for example. So the first step is initial draft generation. So what this AI agent would do is you would give it a prompt of, okay, create the draft of for the future of AI in healthcare. Now, next up, what it's going to do is it's going to do self evaluation and feedback loop. Now, the AI reviews the output in this step, and then that is based on some predefined metrics, which is like quality metrics. It could be grammar, coherence, factual accuracy, it could be syntax, anything that you give as a criteria. And then it is iteratively refining that output that it gives you as a draft until it meets that criteria. So AI revises the draft based on the identified shortcomings, and then it just keeps on giving you output until it meets that criteria. The last step is actually final optimization and delivery. Once it thinks that, okay, this is the last output, and this output meets the criteria that was given by the user, it then ensures that all the feedback was implemented and then gives the final output. Now I'll pause there and see if there's any questions from the audience, to see if there's any questions about the reflective model from the audience.
The question are related with platforms. AI platforms are more. I put it.
Mhm.
Could you see
Okay.
the question at the bottom?
So which AI tools? So the first question I see is, which AI tools or platforms are mentioned as the most effective? Good question. So we're going to talk about the AI tools which you can use and which are the most effective. But first, we're just talking about the patterns the AI agents actually follow. So any questions around AI agentic workflow patterns? Like first up, we're talking about this reflective pattern. So any questions about the reflective pattern?
About this topic, no. But at the end, we could have like a, uh, questions, AI, ANI questions that
Perfect.
resume everything.
Perfect. So yeah, Andre, just keep the chat going. So I'll keep an eye on the chat. So if there's like messages or anything that people put in the chat, just put it on the screen, and I'll make sure to respond as they come. And definitely we can do a question answer session at the end as well. Okay, so we talked about the reflection model. The second um, pattern that we're going to talk about is the planning and reasoning pattern. Now, this pattern goes one step ahead of the reflection pattern. This pattern is, it says, okay, a planning and reasoning agentic AI is an AI system that not only executes the task step by step, but also plans ahead. It evaluates different strategies and adapts its reasoning dynamically to optimize results. Now, that was a really difficult um, definition to understand. So that might break the brain a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll do a sort of like a breakdown of that definition. So what the planning and reasoning model actually does is, first, step one is it breaks down the task into smaller tasks. So if you give it a task of write an essay, the first thing it will do is it will break that down into smaller parts. Maybe the first part is creating a draft, second part is reviewing, third part is giving output and getting feedback. So first step is gonna break down the task into smaller structured stages. Step two is going to apply some reasoning to weigh in different options dynamically. So it's going to apply some reasoning logic to give you different options. And then step 3 is that it will adapt to real time changes while keeping the user's goal is in mind. And I think this AI pattern is really well understood if I give you an example of how this model is run. So I'll give you a simple example of a real world example of uh, if you want to prepare a family dinner for 4 people. So we are going to use the planning and reasoning agentic workflow model to prepare a family dinner for 4 people. So first up, the step 1 would be to define the goal. So the goal here is to cook and serve the dinner to 4 people, and this will require ingredients, preparation, cooking, and serving. So we define the goal, and then the step 2 is actually breaking down the task. Sorry about that. So first up, what it did was um, it broke down the defined the goal actually by elaborating what the goal actually means. So maybe the prompt was prepare a family dinner for 4 people. First thing it did was it defined the goal, and next thing it's going to do, it's going to break it down into smaller tasks. So that smaller task would be, okay, step 1, decide the menu. Step 2, get the ingredients. Step 3, prepare the dishes. Step 4, cook the food. And step 5, serve the meal. So all of these are basically step by step instructions, or breaking down the tasks into smaller ones. And then it's going to start executing the plan. The execution part is going to be similar to what it shows over here. Like, okay, I'm going to start preparing the food or preparing the ingredients at 4 p.m., then begin cooking at this time, then start preparing the salad at 5 p.m., then 5:30 I'm going to cook the salad or cook the dessert, sorry, and then adjust if necessary. So if any ingredients is not any ingredient is missing, find an alternative one, or maybe change the dish a little bit. So basically, you can see that this model basically breaks down the bigger task into smaller ones, and then executes the tasks step by step, therefore making it easier for AI model to understand and execute the goal. So before we go into the next system, any questions around the planning and reasoning agentic workflow?
No, they are sometimes very shy at the beginning. So I going to I taking notes. So at the end we could share some notes but also I am waiting for the question.
Perfect.
So
All right, perfect. No worries. All right. So next up, we're going to talk about the multi-agent system. So the multi-agent system is even one step ahead of the planning and reasoning AI agentic pattern. In this, you can see that there's two robots, right? And this is the next level of AI agents and how they interact with each other. In the multi-agentic workflow, system refers to a process where multiple agents collaborate, interact, or work independently to achieve a common goal. So what they do is basically you have an agent that does something, and then it gives an output, and then it passes that output to the second agent, and then that agent processes the input, gives the output, and then passes it to the third agent, or back to the first agent. And then those two agents collaborate, sort of like a company, to accomplish that particular task. So I'm giving you an example of, if you want to build a website for a local bakery, how can you use these multi-agentic workflow to be able to accomplish this task? So let's say, you have been assigned to build a website for a local bakery, and now it's your responsibility to create this agentic multi-agentic workflow to be able to accomplish this task. So what you do is you create an agent which will act as a designer. So you basically you have an agent one, which would be the designer, which would create the website's design and layout, wireframes, whatever you want. And you have another agent that will be the developer. So the second agent would turn that design into actual code and be able to actually write and generate code based on the design that the agent one gave. Now the third agent could be the backend server, which means that okay, the developer agent was able to create the code for the designs which were given, but it wasn't able to attach the backend logic to it. So that means that attaching a database to it, attaching any sort of like backend logic to it, some APIs and stuff. So the agent 2 doesn't do that. All it does is convert all of the design into the code, the front end code, and then pass it to the agent 3, which is responsible for converting it to the into a back end code. Now you'll see that this looks more a lot like a software development company, right? And that is why a lot of people are afraid of their jobs, because this actually takes over the most of the roles of people in the company. So next, what we'll do is maybe you create another agent for the database, which basically creates the database, keeps the records of all the orders of customers. You create another agent which creates the payment processing. So agent 5, what it does is processes the payment when customers check out. And then agent 6 would also uh, manage the hosting. So once the website is done, everything is looking good, the output is passed to the agent 6, which takes the input of the website and puts it to a hosting environment. You can also create an customer agent which would act like testing user onto the website, which would act like the actual customer, browse the menu, place an order, and test your whole system. So, as you can see, multi agentic workflow is really efficient, and it's really like mind blowing as to how the much it can be actually used. You can actually replace an entire team by using this multi agentic workflow if done efficiently. So, any questions around multi-agentic workflow? Let's move back to, yeah, here. All good.
Yeah, good. I have another chat with some students. They are asking me some question, or because this topic is really new, so they are shy for that reason. But uh, I have a question right now related
Just
with
put
with
it on the screen,
with
maybe.
yes, I'm going to put it on the screen. But the question is start coming, but they are shy. So at the end, I think we will have several questions. So the
Oh, I think Andres, you got off screen there.
yes, sorry. Uh, this question is about like the whole patterns. So I don't know if is you could respond that
Yeah,
question
yeah.
right
So
now, answer that question, or what
no,
do
no,
you think?
I'm gonna answer for sure. The question is a little bit vague, but I'm gonna try to answer that question as much as I can. So the question is, are these patterns are they inspired in problem solving, or they basically what I understand from is are these questions actually are used to in problem solving. So I think, yeah, you can think of them as patterns that you can use in problem solving, and every problem that you have will have a different pattern that you use. So it's not like one pattern fits all kind of thing. You might have a problem which goes with the planning and reasoning model, so try to use an AI system that uses that model. You might have another problem that might require you to use multi-agent system. So then you'll use this multi-agentic workflow systems that are out there, or you create a custom one um, in order to actually implement the solution for it. So hopefully that answers the question. What I'll do is also I'll give you examples of um, which tools implement these different patterns, and hopefully that actually shows you how these tools are using these different patterns, and hopefully that makes it clarified as well. So with that in mind, any other questions out there, Andres?
No, but yes, I think that the question is because, for example, in planning and rationing, you could say like you are divide and conquer. So
Exactly.
this is like solving technique that is very used in develop when you develop a software, you have to think that way. So maybe that question is related to that. So go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, like Andres said, it's divide and conquer in the planning and reasoning model. And the multi-agentic model is more about different agents talking to each other to accomplish a certain task. Okay, so that was all exciting and everything. Next, the question might be, any systems out there for me that I can use without any coding experience, without even creating an AI agent? Are there any systems that I can use right now to be able to create these AI agents? Well, the good news is yes, there are. And first platform that you can use, which is very popular nowadays, is the, and I think this is the best one. This is a no code solution to creating AI agents. This is called N8N, and this website is basically you go in and you log in, and what it does is, if you want to create an agentic workflow, all you got to do is, all you got to do is you have to connect your different applications, whether it's Jira or Slack, to the N8N server, and they will be able to connect those together. And then what you can do is you just draw a diagram without writing any code, and then it will execute the workflow or execute the AI agent based on the step by step instructions that you give it. So um, I would strongly encourage you to try it out. It's pretty cool. Let's say if you want to create an AI agent that scans your Google Calendar and then creates or scans your emails and creates a Google Calendar event based on any important emails that you get. So what you do is you connect your email client to N8N, and then it will scan all of the emails through the email client, and then you connect the Google Calendar or whatever Outlook calendar that you're using, connect that as well. And then what you tell it is, okay, scan the emails, and then whenever you find these keywords, create a Google Calendar event for me for this. So there's many different things that you can do for this. Like if you have Slack messages, Skype messages, and you don't have time to read all of the Slack messages, nobody has time to read all the Slack messages. So what you can do is you can connect the Slack client to the N8N server, and you can have it read all the messages for you, and then you can give it certain keywords as to, okay, if you find this keyword in any of the message, mark it as important and put it inside uh, maybe a document or Notion, or create a task for it in some place, or put it in a text file so that you can review it later. So basically the use cases are endless. You can automate anything using this no code tool. The second one, which is also very popular, this is more of an enterprise level solution, which is called Zapier. It's also no code solution. You might end up using some code inside it, but the idea is also it just drag and drop all the different pieces, and you can basically connect or create your AI agent based on your workflow without using any coding. So these are pretty cool, and you might be thinking, yeah, this is, there's no freaking way that this is possible without writing any code. But I would definitely encourage you to try it out. The next thing what I'm going to talk about is going to be how can I create an agentic workflow, which is something that we started off with. But before we actually talk about how we create an agentic workflow with respect to coding and stuff, any questions in regards to Zapier or N8N, or have you guys actually used it? Maybe put it in the comments. I'll definitely review them later.
We
Um,
have two questions. One is related with this topic in particular, and we have also students with different careers. So those students are from um, a career that is the focus is entertaining, gaming, and those stuff. So the question is about design. So the question is, are the AI agents exclusively for coding workflows? Or they can also be used for another domains which are design or research.
so the answer to that question is yes, you can use them for any sort of problem. Like I said in my earlier during the presentation, that it doesn't, you don't have to be a software engineer or developer. You can be a designer, you can be an architect designing the system, um, or like you mentioned, like if you're, even if you're doing research, I think doing research um, is the most I would use an AI agent to do it for me. There is websites like Manus AI. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but let me just quickly show you. This is a website, Manus. Um, this is they only give you early access if you ask them, but basically, like if you say research deep learning um, topic for me and creates notes. So what this do does is basically it goes on the internet, and then it will start doing the research for you, and it will show you um, all of the research that it's doing. And then after doing the research, it will create the notes for you, um, and you'll see that it's actually initializing a computer for you. So it basically, like, it creates the a system which you can think of as a user going on to Google and typing in, okay, what is deep learning. You can see that it's actually searching for what is deep learning definition in relation to machine learning AI, and now it's using the browser to get the result from there. And once it gets that result, it's going to actually, you can actually see the if I click on it, you'll see that what the AI agent is actually doing. It's going on here, doing the research for me. What is deep learning? It went on the IBM website, um, and then it's viewing it right now. Um, then it extracted that information and then put it in a file, and then it's updating the plan, editing the file. It's doing more research on it. So just to give you a little bit of a brief of a AI agent, it's not just for development purposes. You can use an AI agent for pretty much anything, any use case. But yeah, I thought to show you this example. It's pretty cool. It actually shows you what the AI agent is doing. Now it went to this website over here, and then it's reading this article, activation functions in neural networks. getting that extracted into a file. And then yeah, I'll stop there, and then I'll see if there's any more questions.
Yeah, the question are related with other topics. We want to answer the question right now, or you want
Is
to?
it related to what I'm talking about right now, or is it related to something else?
No, is for example, can AI agents replace certain job roles? AI agents.
Let's keep those questions to the end, for the end.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so playtime is over. So how can I create an agentic workflow? So this is something that if you're a developer, specifically for a developer, I created um, some ways that you can actually, because this talk was more related to increasing your productivity by 500%. So how you can use different patterns that we talked about, for example, the reflection patterns. So first, you can use the reflection patterns in your code reviews for a developer. For if you're a software developer or software engineer, and you waste a lot of time on, I wouldn't say waste, but you put in a lot of time in code reviewing and writing in PR summaries and reviewing the PRs. Well, the AI agents can review that code for you. And so what does the agent actually do here? First of all, it compares the current code to the changes that were introduced in the PR. So it takes in the previous code and compares it, and then sees the changes that were done. Then it reads all the commit messages, PR titles, and commands to comments to understand the developer's goal. So it basically gets the understanding of what the PR is about, the pull request is about. Then what the agent does is it evaluates the changes for performance, naming conventions, error handling, and logic flaws. So it basically checks for all of those issues in your code. Then it proposes inline comments or improvements like refactoring a loop or validating null checks. So it automatically creates pull request comments based on the things or issues that it finds. And then it adds confidence scores or auto approves trivial changes if trusted. So if the PR is simple as you change the sum from 3 plus 2 to 3 plus 3, then that is a simple change. Nobody really needs to review it other than a AI agent. So the AI agent would automatically approve that pull request if it sees that it's a trivial change or a very small change. So now I don't want you to, buy tools and things, but it does feel like when we used to be working before AI agents, it felt more like, okay, we are working to create tools, but now it feels like we are working to buy more tools. Because even for myself, I feel like I want to use AI tools to help improve my workflow and increase my productivity. But I'll give you some options that you can use. Some of them are free to use as well. So to use this reflection agentic system for code reviews, you can use Codium. They've changed the name to Kodo.ai. Sorry. What this does is it suggests the meaningful tests and performs AI based PR reviews. If I can show you really quickly, I found a couple of features really useful in this one. Let's The first one I found useful was this Kodo merge. And what it does is it basically, when you open up the pull request, it generates the PR description. Then it helps the reviewer navigate through code changes. Then you can ask Kodo to, explain to you what the PR does. And then it checks for all the security vulnerabilities and gives you suggestions. And then it also tells you, okay, these are the lines that you should change. So I think that's a really cool thing. Like you create a pull request and it just shows you all of the things that are wrong with this pull request. So that's one thing. The other thing that I found was, let's see if I have that one. Yeah, so in this one, let's see if I can play this. I think it's still loading. One sec. Yeah, there we go. So let's see. Yeah, basically it is similar to Cursor. If anybody has used Cursor, or if you haven't, basically if you use their extension, which is available on VS Code, it gives you this sort of like a side panel which you can use to scan your whole code and add things using any AI model. You can use Claude, you can use any other AI model, and then you can use it to add test coverage. You can create unit tests, whatever you want to create. You can do that using the Kodo's extension. This is the extension, how it looks like. If you see, look at the left side, this is what it looks like. um, and let's see if I can find anything else. Yeah, this is the website kodo.ai. Basically just, it helps with the code reviews, with pull requests. Okay, getting back to the topic again. So I told you about Kodo. There's also another one called Shippy. Look it up, you find it. This one is a GitHub app that you can add directly to the GitHub actions in your system. And what this enables you to do is, um, it adds natural language AI feedback as PR comments. So basically, like you'll be able to add the GPT within your pull requests in your system, or in your project in GitHub. Then there's Code Whisperer, very common, very popular from Amazon, which is similar to other AI IDs tools out there. Then there's also Cody by Sourcegraph. Sourcegraph is a company that I'm personally very familiar with, because I'm in touch with one of the senior engineers from this company. So basically, the code it creates is context aware. It can summarize and critique the different differences. Then the last one is the Cursor IDE. Cursor, for those of you who don't know, is a very powerful tool. I think almost all developers use it by this time. If you don't use it, start using it. It has multiple features that you can use, including AI agent within the Cursor IDE that you can use to not only generate the code, but also to refactor the code. You can also, um, yeah, there's multiple use cases. So Cursor is really powerful. I personally use it as well. So what's next? Actually, before we go next, any questions around using these tools for code reviews?
They have questions but related with other topics, so I put those comments below. So at the end we could talk about generic questions. So
Perfect.
if they have like a particular question related to the topic that you're talking right now, I going to to send you to you could know the question and reply right away.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. So next up, we're going to talk about the planning and reasoning agentic system. So if for the daily planning purposes, so if you're a developer, you're a researcher, you're in any industry, this is a pain that every person in using a system, or even who is not using computers, has trouble doing, is following a daily routine and following a certain, like, organizing yourself. And I think the least that you can use the AI agent to do is for daily planning. And how you can use it is, you can ask it to create tasks for you, based on your goals, whatever goals that you have, and then apply the priority labels for you, like which task is higher priority, which task is lower priority. It can add deadlines for you, it can add reminders for you, it can email you, it can add you to add the task to the calendar. So there's so many things that it can do for you to help in your daily planning. So precisely, if we talk about development purposes, what this daily planning agent should do is accept the task list, backlog items, and goals. So you need to manually input them, or they are fetched from a system of backlog items. Like I said, you can connect your AI system or AI agent to your current workflow. You can connect it to Jira so that it scans or reads all of the tickets that are in the backlog in Jira, and then it's able to create the goals automatically based on those tickets. And then it applies priority labels, like I said, dependencies, deadlines. Then it will do the estimation for you as well. So it estimates the task time that is required per task, optionally based on past performance as well. uh, and then it suggests or books calendar slots for deep work, meetings, breaks. So it can automatically book those slots for you in the calendar. And then it produces a to-do list, agenda, or time blocked schedule for you as well. So it can do like a to-do list for you, which basically allows you to have a calendar which makes much more sense than your current calendar, where like for example, if I open up my calendar right now, I would have things like, okay, go shopping, but that go shopping would be for the whole day. And trust me, like, that never happens, and then it moves to the next day. So having some time slots assigned automatically as to your past behavior, and how you've been using a certain way of doing a task, that is like super helpful. So for the daily planning, the agent analyzes the tasks and creates a strategy for execution. So what this agent does is, for example, for the planning, you can add the prompt like, here's the list of tasks that I want to get done today, prioritize them by impact and urgency, and estimate the time per task, and generate a time blocked calendar. That's a prompt. So basically it will do all of that for you. Then what it does is, given that like the context aware prompt would be, given that I have meetings from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and a deadline tomorrow, how should I structure the rest of my workday? So it should be able to have context of your calendar and meetings, and be able to give you a more structured output based on your current schedule. And then the reflection prompt could be something like, okay, yesterday I didn't complete the task X. Should I reschedule it or delegate it? So different prompts for different purposes, but basically the idea is, whatever AI agent that you are using, it should be able to scan your schedule and be able to scan your tasks that you need done, and give you a better calendar, a time blocked calendar, so you follow those tasks step by step. So what are the tools that you can use that are out there? So first up is Notion AI. Notion did a really brilliant job in like incorporating AI into their whole workflow. If you haven't used Notion, honestly, like, I would really encourage you to use Notion. Let me show you some really quickly, like what Notion has done. So if I go to Notion, sorry, So Notion, if you don't know, is a tool that is used to add notes. um, so you can create to-do list or anything basically. But with the latest changes that they've done, it adds AI into the picture. So you can write a list of to-do list in there and then tell it to make it more elaborate, or just make a better version of it. Or it just basically takes the garbage input and just converts it into a good output, as long as the input makes a little bit sense. um Yeah, and you can connect Notion to different apps as well, so that it has awareness. Like I said, the biggest thing in AI right now, I'm going to talk about that later in this presentation. But the biggest thing that AI, in the field of AI, that is happening in terms of development and strategies, what companies are doing, is giving awareness to the AI agent about the context. And what this means is connecting the AI agent with the different tools, so it has some context of what output to give based on that context. So planning and reasoning model, like we talked about that pattern, it involves context awareness, right? So that context awareness in an AI agent is something that is happening in the tech space right now. So with the Notion, you can actually connect different apps to Notion. What else? So we have Chat GPT. Pretty much, I think everyone knows what Chat GPT is nowadays. Prompt based planning with memory and personalization. You can use Chat GPT to also have a list of tasks that you want done. Then there's Motion, which auto schedules tasks in your calendar with real time planning. That's another thing that you can use. Then there's Reclaim.ai. It's also another tool that you can use to do calendar syncing with task blocking, habit tracking. And then there's the lastly, this is Taskade. It's for teams and individual planning as well, with the built-in AI assistant. So all these different tools that you can use to create daily planning schedules. But saying all of that, I would actually recommend you to create your own custom daily planning tool or daily planning AI agent. And I would highly recommend you using N8N or Zapier to create that daily planning tool, because everybody's planning is different. And so for me personally, when I am planning to do certain tasks or organizing myself, I'm very different than other people. I need to be very precise on what I do at what time, and also my priorities. I have a family, so I need to prioritize things based on something that happens within a family as well. So my prioritization always is changing. So for me, none of these tools really make sense apart from Notion and Chat GPT for some cases. But I would definitely encourage you to use N8N or Zapier to create your own AI agent that creates the daily planning schedule for you. But the main point I would again say is, whether you use Zapier or you use N8N or you use any of these tools, at this point, in if you're in any capacity in tech space, you should be, or in any capacity outside of tech space as well, you should be using AI agents for daily planning purposes. It's a game changer. Yeah, there's a comment there as well. It's like this is could be a game changer for managing burnout. um the question is, can the agent recognize if you're overloading a day and suggest breaks or less intense schedules? Yes, it can. With the latest AI agents capacities, you can definitely do that. How you would do that depends on how you want it to monitor you, right? Because there's a certain element of privacy that you would also want, right? You don't want the AI agent to keep on looking at your face, or you looking at, like, checking if your camera is on or not, right? So for every person it's going to be different. If you want the AI agent to be able to scan, let's say, your Jira tasks, and see that whether you were able to complete a Jira task or not, it's that one is pretty simple. But if something in your life happens, or based on your daily habits, something that you weren't able to complete, maybe what you want is a feedback loop that you want to give the AI agent, or maybe have the AI agent ask you for if you were able to complete that task or not, right? And that is something that you can definitely do. It's pretty simple. Like I said, you can use Anit, and or you can use Zapier to create an AI agent that checks if, like, asks you, hey Umar, was you were supposed to do the chores by by 12 p.m., were you able to do that, yes or no? And that could be in a form of notification that comes on your phone, and you press yes or no, and then answer your AI agent, and then it would be like a chat bot as well. And then based on that, it just updates the schedule for you, or moves that calendar. And the cool thing about these AI agents is the conversation abilities. So um, I've seen a lot of people create these daily planning tools based on either WhatsApp, or they're using Telegram, or they're using SMS. So the AI agent sends the SMS, or sends the message through WhatsApp, and then you respond to the AI agent, and then it updates the schedule based on the feedback it gets from the person. So that's pretty cool. I work in many projects at the same time. How can I use this type of agent to manage tasks in multiple projects? A really good question, and the answer is pretty simple. Basically, you need to give your AI agent the context of all of the different projects. So you might need to connect multiple Jiras to this AI agent. So if we talk about N8N, you'll have to give context of all of the uh, different Jiras that, or if you're using Pivotal or whatever task management tool that you're using, connect it to the AI agent, and then have the AI agent prioritize the task for you. So it will see that, okay, if you're working on these multiple projects, you still need to be working one task at a time, right? So it will prioritize the tasks for you based on the priority of the task. If the tasks have priority, it will create a calendar for you, and then you can have a conversation with the AI agent, basically convincing them to change the schedule based on your priorities. And then you can have the AI agent ask you whether you were able to complete a task or not. And if you are able to not complete a task, it will update the schedule based on your availability. Hope that answers the question. um okay, so AI agents, robots, I would strongly suggest you to create your own custom AI agent, um, because, like I said, everybody has their own uh, personal traits, habits, um, and I think creating your own custom AI agent will definitely accommodate those custom habits that you have. Lastly, let's just talk about code generation. Unless there's any other further questions, I'll just move on. Talk about code generation. It's the last thing that I'm gonna talk about before I end it. Any questions on this? Any other questions?
Yes, we have question, but generic question
Gotcha, gotcha.
for
Okay,
the end.
no worries. Okay, so the last one is the code generation. I think if you are a developer and you are not using AI agents at this point in your tech career, I don't know what to tell you, but the main thing I'm gonna tell you is it's not going to be the people who it's not going to be the AI agents that are going to replace the software developers. It is going to be the software developers using those AI agents or AI tools that are going to replace the people or replace the software developers who don't use those tools. So if you are not using AI for code generation, refactoring, reviews, I would strongly suggest you to do so. It makes life so much easier. I'm not telling you to leave control, because I know a lot of people out there, especially some of the old school developers, are like, it's not going to give me the best output. Well, who cares about the best output, right? You can ask it to give you the output. If it works, refactor it according to your needs. As long as the code runs, you can always refactor the code. So, anyways, that was a long thing I wanted to say. But coming back to the topic here, so code generation, if you ask the AI tool, okay, write me a function in JavaScript that takes two numbers and outputs the sum, so it will uh, create that function for you. You can use it for refactoring as well. That this function is too long and has nested conditionals. Break it into smaller reusable parts with meaningful names. So it will basically review the code that it basically wrote, and then it will break it down into smaller parts. Sorry. And then the last thing you can use for code purposes is for reasoning. So I remember back in the days, I used to write a lot of code and I didn't understand what I wrote. I only knew that the code actually runs and it runs fine, and basically the system works. But if somebody asked me what you wrote, like sometimes I would be able to explain it, but other times I wouldn't be able to explain what I wrote. So this is where the AI tools are really efficient in, is able to explain the code for you. So what are the potential edge cases for the performance issues in the implementation? What is the code that I wrote? What are the deficiencies in my code that I wrote? Those things are things that you can ask your AI tool to do. So basically, we have a lot of tools out there, but the main ones I put in over here in this table. First one is the GitHub Copilot. I think GitHub Copilot has gone a long way. It's becoming of an ecosystem. I think Microsoft is on the right track in creating an AI ecosystem for their users. It's included inside the GitHub. It's also included inside your VS Code. Um, it's also included in your Visual Studio if you're using a typical Visual Studio. So it's really useful. If you haven't used GitHub Copilot, I would highly suggest you to use it. It is real-time autocomplete and code generation in your IDE. And then yeah, it's really cool. Second up is Cursor. So again, like personally, I use Cursor a lot. It is used for writing code, rewriting it, refactoring it, writing unit tests, all of that stuff. Cursor is, I would say, the number one IDE out there that is AI integrated. You can use basically any model in Cursor. Let me show you a little bit of what Cursor actually looks like. So there's a website for Cursor. So this is Cursor, and it has a. Let me actually open up Cursor, show you. Cursor. So let's just open the Cursor window to show you what the real power of Cursor actually is. This is some code that I have. Let me just open up. Okay, so this is Cursor IDE. Basically, it has a chat tool. On the right side, you see if I press the Control I command or Command I if you're using Mac, then it opens up this chat, and then you're able to use um, different basically, like, it gives you different options of how you want the code generation to happen. If you want the code to be written for you, you can use the agent mode. if you want to just ask the question and suggest some changes but not actually do any changes for you, then you can use the ask. And then the manual one would be, okay, I don't want you to scan the whole code base, I just want you to read the files that I'm giving you, and just based on those files give me the answer. So that's pretty cool, this manual option over here, this mode, manual mode, is actually pretty powerful. And then it also gives you the ability to switch the model that is going to be used. So you'll see that I'm using Claude here, Gemini. You can also use thinking. You can use auto over here to select, like automatically select any model uh, that it thinks that it's the best use case for whatever you want. um, but yeah, it's pretty powerful. You can use any model, and you can use chat gpt's models, o1, whatever. So yeah, if you haven't used Cursor and you're a developer, I would strongly suggest you to use Cursor. It's really powerful. Anyways, some of the other tools out there is Windsurf. Windsurf is also similar to Cursor. It's used for writing, refactoring, reviewing code. Chat GPT, you can use Chat GPT as well for prompt based generation, and there's Amazon Code Whisperer. All of these are different tools that you can use for code generation. So if you ask me, is there something like, if you knew all of the things that I talked about, and you're like, okay, I knew all of the things that you already talked about, but I want to learn something new, what do I learn after this presentation? The two things I would strongly suggest you learning after this presentation: number one is MCP, which is the Model Context Protocol. Basically, what this means is you are giving context to the AI model, which means that, what should the AI know before it runs its own thing, before it runs the mechanism for reasoning and gives you the output. So what should the AI know from my tools and workflows before it gives you the output? That's MCP. And then the other thing is RAG. RAG is also they are similar concepts, but what it means is, like, what should the AI read before responding? So there's similar concepts: MCP, Model Context Protocol, and RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. But I would strongly suggest you to learn these two topics. So there's a question from Juan. Copilot also lets us use any model, but I'm not sure what model to use. What are strengths and weaknesses of models for coding? That's a really good question. And yes, Copilot actually included this feature recently where you're able to switch the models. And honestly, if you ask me from personal experience, because I'm working on enterprise level solutions, um, so if you ask me personally, I think Claude model is the best, especially the Claude 3.7 is best. The Claude is, for those of you who don't know, is from Anthropic, which is a company. It's a model that they created. So it's Claude 3.7 is one of the versions of that model. I would say that it's the most powerful model for coding purposes. For architectural purposes, it's the opposite. So I think for architectural purposes, Chat GPT, I think it's really good when it comes to reasoning and when it comes to creating some architecture of your system, or asking questions for, okay, what does this actually mean, or can you define the architecture for this system for me? What are the different options for the architecture for this feature that I'm creating? I would say Chat GPT still wins the race in my book. I am also reading a book right now. Let me show you. This is a book that I'm reading. I don't know if it's visible on the camera. Oops. AI powered developer. This book is from Nathan B. Crocker. Uh, so I would strongly suggest. anyone who's watching this to read this book. It's really useful. It talks about prompt engineering, talks about how the development market has changed, what you as a software engineer need to know about AI tools, all of that stuff. So with that in mind, I would like to end with this quote of Albert Einstein and say, he said, the true sign of intelligence is not knowledge but imagination. So your imagination is what sets you apart. It's not only the intelligence. That's pretty much it. Thanks everyone. Please link up with me on LinkedIn. Now I think we can take some questions that were generic in this.
Yes, we have several questions and comments about the the topics that you mentioned today was really updated because are those topics. Even you have a book right now is incredible. Maybe is created by AI tools or something like that because it's short time to. Okay, so we're going to start from the beginning, um, looking for uh, this question.
So the question is, what are some practical first steps for integrating AI agents into a workflow?
Yes.
Really good question. So practical first steps would be to actually understand the problem, because most of the time us developers or anybody who wants to integrate any system or any part of complexity into their already workflow is they're just doing it because that's the next hip thing to do. Now don't do that. Include the AI agent as part of the workflow, um, first by understanding the problem at hand. So do it incrementally. Take the smallest problem that you are facing right now. So for example, if you are let's say the smallest problem I have right now is I have trouble sleeping at 9 p.m. I'm going to create an AI agent that is going to improve my life by giving me a reminder every time at 9 p.m. that you need to sleep. And it's not going to be my typical reminder of typical reminder. It's gonna keep on bugging me and have an open communication with me as to why I'm not sleeping at 9 p.m., so that I don't feel like, oh, I'm just talking to a robot. So it's sort of my AI mom that reminds me that I need to sleep at 9 p.m. So start there. Take the smallest problem at hand, understand the problems within your system, like within the workflow that you have, whether you do need a AI agent for it or not. That's another thing. Like, I see a lot of people who just want to add AI agent to searching something on Google. Like, don't force yourself to use a technology should always be used to help solve a problem. If there's no problem, then there's no point adding that extra complexity. First, find that specific problem. So you need to first understand what the problem is at hand. Take the smallest problem that you have in your company or whatever uh, issue that you're having, and then implement that solution using an AI agent. Or maybe it turns out you don't need an AI agent to solve that problem. Yeah, so next question is, how can a designer work together with an agent without losing creative control of the project? So, assuming that the designer is an actual person and not an AI agent themselves, um, it's a good question. Like, how do we actually work with the designer together? Sorry. Designer work together with an AI agent to without losing creative control of the project. You want to have that creative aspect of the system, that uniqueness and creativity that a designer is always expected to have. But also, you're asked on the workplace, for example, to use the latest trends, use an AI agent for helping you out, right? Now, one thing you need to understand is, I think since 2000s, late 2000s, I haven't seen any new sort of pattern for design, right? Like the main design patterns that I see are coming from material design, that is from Google, or it's coming from Apple, uh like the smooth curve design and all of that. Like, I haven't seen anything too much creative that tells me that the AI agent cannot help a designer create a design and also respect creativity. Because as a as a designer, the main thing that you're supposed to create is a usable design by the user. So if the patterns that are being followed, even if you don't use an AI agent, are similar to uh, the patterns that are followed when you use the AI agents, I think adding an AI agent wouldn't affect the creativity aspect of your system. Because like I said, I haven't, like, since the 1990s there was a lot of shift in how the UI elements were created, and how the modern look. Like before, we used to have like flashy elements for UI buttons and things. Now everything is very standardized, right? Like every website you open, the buttons pretty much look the same, the components pretty much look the same, and so it's hard to add that creativity aspect of your as a designer anyways. So I'm not demeaning the job of a designer by saying that there's standardized designs. All I'm saying is, because of the standardization, the AI agents are better able to create those designs which include the creative aspect of the design as well. So you don't have to, think about losing that creativity touch. As long as you're creating, logos, you have the theme in your hand. You can add a specific color of the theme, you can add a specific background and things that are variables, that could be considered as a creative touch to the design that AI agent gave you. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Uh, yes, thank you. We have another question here. Um, this question is related uh, for with a chat or with a talk that you have already give in VanJS. Uh, and in the crowd, someone asked you about a paradox. Is junior paradox because all of those tools are replacing so many jobs. And I love your presentation because you mentioned with several arguments like the evolution of jobs. So if you could share like a little notes for your talk
Yeah, for
to
sure.
reply this question would be great.
Yeah, for sure. So, the talk that Andres is referring to is was about replacing jobs and how AI tools and AI agents can and might will replace jobs. I would say the rule of thumb for a job that can be replaced, at least for me, is whether you have a friction job or not. Now, what do I mean by friction job? Friction job is, let's say, if you want to sell a pen. If you want to sell a pen, you take the pen from one person, you buy it from one person, you take it, and then you sell it to the next person without doing anything. In my opinion, that's a friction job. In my opinion, the friction jobs are going to be eliminated, if not sooner or later, because you're not bringing in any value. You're just taking thing from one side, passing it to the next. Now, who is doing friction jobs? I don't want to demean any sort of job roles, but for example, clerks, cashiers, um, waiters, waitresses. Now, basically taking the food from one side, bringing it to the table, and giving it. Um, if you ask certain people, that does bring value, but like just telling you, just as a high level concept of, even if you're a developer, if you are just working on, okay, you take some requirements and then you just code all day and then you just give the output back to the manager. Well, the AI tools can actually do that now. They can generate code. So as a junior developer, your job can be at risk. So you got to bring in that value of architecture, of something that you're doing, as adding a value before sending it back to the other person. So the taking the same example of pen, I take it from one person, the pen, and then I add some color to the pen. I maybe change the color of it, the design of it, add some value to it, and then I give it to the next person. That is not friction job. You're adding that value. You're giving your creative or unique aspect to that product. Those jobs, I think, are gonna remain as long as you're adding something that brings value to the end user. That job is gonna remain. But if you're doing a friction job, it can be a little bit problematic for the long term.
Okay, this question is related with some topic that I want to talk with you is because you are a teacher, right? So I want this question because I was thinking something similar about key skills. So, for example, uh, I want to know what is your approach or your point of view about those tools in education, because um, this we could talk about too much about that, because for example, imposter syndrome, we learn coding in another with another context. We don't have like the bunch of tools that we have today. So what do you think also is like, what is your advice for them, because they are worried because they, like you said before, you could be replaced if you don't know how to act right now.
Exactly. No, that's a really good point. And yes, because I teach people as well. I would say, first of all, we need to get one thing clear: imposter syndrome is real. And even myself, I feel like, even with 8 years of experience talking to you about AI agents, having worked in so many different projects, so many, like, I've worked across the world, like I've worked in Australia, Germany, you name it, Dubai, US, and now in Canada. But with all that experience, I would still say that I personally also feel imposter syndrome. It's like there's so much information out there, you can absorb so much. You cannot, there's a human limit to how much information you can absorb. So let's get that clear out the door. Is like, yes, there is imposter syndrome. um, if you're a skill developer or you're a junior developer, imposter syndrome exists. You feel like you don't have enough knowledge. There's so much information out there. You feel like um, you don't have enough that other people have. So first thing that I would recommend you to do is just step back for a bit. You know, I wasn't born with 8 years of experience. I gained it by actually going in the industry and actually working. And during that time, I made hundreds of thousands of mistakes. So, and don't think of yourself as, that you won't be able to, overcome a certain challenge. The main thing is for the future of software development, software engineering, and work in general is that your problem solving skills, your logical reasoning skills, and your life skills are the most crucial skills that are going to help you in the future job market. Now, you should focus on those skills first. Focus on your motor skills, focus on your problem solving skills, focus on your logical reasoning skills. If somebody asks you a question, okay, tell me why would you use JavaScript in this project and not use Python, for example? You should be able to answer that sort of question. How do you know about those sorts of questions? Well, you need to go and read books. You need to go and learn about these different technologies a little bit. So, I'm not saying read every book out there. I'm talking about the basics, having a wider range of knowledge rather than just one specific knowledge about one specific subject. I think having the knowledge of a little bit knowledge on all of these different topics, different subjects, is more vital than having knowledge on one specific subject, especially in the job market where we are headed right now, where AI agents are basically making it um, generic for any language that you use to come up with a solution. So, yeah, that's the first thing I would advise anybody who has imposter syndrome is, you should overcome your imposter syndrome by working on your problem solving skills and working on your logical reasoning.
This question is something similar to the another question. So maybe talk about byte coding because, for example, a long time ago, a tweet mentioned that a 10x engineer will replace like, or the CEO wants 10x engineer. So right now is 500x or 5x engineer, 50 engineers. So what is your opinion about byte coding, because maybe byte coding is misunderstood sometimes, or what do you think about this question in particular? So
It's a really good question. It's personal as well because I remember having this conversation with my friends, and one of my friends said to another friend who has a software development company, he said, I have not worked in the software development sector for 2 years, and bring in your best developer from the software house that you own and have them not write code from AI, and I will generate code from AI, and we will see who has better code. So I understand the question why it's coming is because AI models are better able to create or generate code now using that reflective pattern of feedback loop until the code runs. um, so I understand where the question is coming from. So my opinion on vibe coding is that it is a skill. As a software engineer, it's a skill to know how to vibe code. Now, when I see the junior developers, they start vibe coding, they're senselessly vibe coding. Like they would create the whole system without knowing which functions are being created, how they are being created, um, which which file connects to which other file, and then they run into a situation where if a problem occurs, they're not able to debug that problem, not able to fix that problem. So I think vibe coding is a skill. It is very much related to prompt engineering, because prompt engineering, I also feel, is a skill where you need to ask the right questions to get the right output. The number one rule for any LLM model out there, large language model out there, is that if you give garbage in, you will get garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out. So if you understand this particular rule of AI models, is that if you're giving as garbage inside the model, you will probably get garbage out as well. So having to know what are the right questions to ask when you are vibe coding is essential. The number two thing is, like I said, the new developers that I see, junior developers especially, who are senselessly, mindlessly creating the whole project based on vibe coding, is the issue when a certain debug problem comes and they're trying to solve that problem, that small problem, and the AI model is not able to detect or properly solve that specific problem, and then you run into a problem of spending more time on fixing the issue than you would actually spend time on writing the code. So in that regard, what I would suggest for a junior developer is that if you are a junior developer, want to vibe code, start small. By small, I mean start by saying, okay, I have this system, I want to create a function, for example. Now you can use vibe coding to say, okay, I have create this function sum for me, which connects with the already system that I have. Um, but at least just stay to that smaller part of the system. If you are making big chunks of the system based on the AI model, then remember that those big chunks of the system are going to be difficult for a junior developer to debug when a problem actually comes. I've run into the similar situation, a similar problem in my own experience, is that if I have a code that is generated from AI run into an issue, it creates more issues by adding more code to that particular code. Whereas if I spend some time myself on looking at the code and trying to fix that code, I would solve it in less time than the AI agent would. So, whenever you are vibe coding, you need to understand what the code is doing. If you don't understand what the code is doing, reject that code, move forward with your own personal code. That's my number one advice for junior developers.
Okay,
I think,
this is a question in Spanish. Is about, for example, um, we depend on cell phones, right? So, in some way, we're going to depend on AI agents. So, what is your advice to don't depend on that? So, for example, if you're when you use the cell phone, some some restaurants has like rules, for example, that you put your cell phone in a basket because you want to talk with your partners or with your date. So maybe we could have rules, or uh, already have rules in any way for it, because each company is writing a lot of, like your book that you mentioned before. What do you think about what is going to happen in this topic?
yeah, good question. So I think definitely the dependency on AI agents is going to happen more and more. um, like for example, when there were no machine tools out there, there was no table saw. You people used to use handle saw, like the jigsaw, um, what do you call that saw, handle saw, yeah, hacksaw or something. They use that one, right? But now we have tools out there that are able to do those things for you in a much faster way. So people who actually know how to use those machines are much valuable than people who just know how to use hand tools. So similarly, as we move into an age of dependency on AI agents, it's going to be a key skill to learn how to work with these AI agents rather than reject them and say, yeah, I'm going to be the one who works parallel to an AI agent, and I'm going to be the one who is not going to use an AI agent for any purpose at all, even if it fixes my problem. So I think that kind of answers that question. I don't know if there's anything that I missed from that question.
Yes, yes, this is a good reply. Also, I'm going to resume in the comments. Yeah, and that could be the last one because we are like at the end of this space. So this is about like or another time like skills. What are the skills that will be more, or we could say careers that could be more like important in the future for thinking in AI agents and in other jobs. You
Yeah.
mentioned design, but for example, healthcare services, we have about, for example, uh, research in we have like several problems that don't have solution right now, and this field is maybe one of those. And some students right now could think in maybe start if you want to study medicine is a waste of time because you this kind of jobs will be replaced for AI agents. Also, in the law sectors, build construction, whatever you are thinking study, maybe there is an agent for that. So, uh, what is what is your advice for if someone is going to start today or is speaking how to study today? What is your recommendation?
Right. So when I talk about software jobs, um, the jobs that I feel like they're going to be long term in demand are going to be the jobs that require human intervention, and that involves architectural skills, being able to orchestrate the system rather than actually going hands on and writing code, because code is becoming more of a commodity in developer jobs. If I talk about non developer jobs, I feel like the first analogy that I gave about friction jobs, that is a good analogy to use whenever you're deciding on a role, whether that's going to be a friction role or not. The second thing is also there are something called a protected role. For example, a protected role, could be we go to court and we have a criminal who is going to be given a sentence. Now, do we want, as humans, do we want an AI agent to give a sentence of this person, this human being, going to jail or not, uh, based on, like, even if it's the best AI robot out there, do we want as human beings a robot to give the decision of whether this person should go to jail or not? Probably not, right? So that's called a protected role. So the role of a judge, for example, seems to me as a more protected role. Similarly, the role of police officers, do we want, as human beings, do we want that we are monitored and being investigated from by a robot? Like if you're watching RoboCop, maybe that makes sense, but in the real world, probably not in the short term. Maybe if you talk about 30, 40 years from now in the future, maybe that could be a possibility. But as of now, right now, in the near future, roles like that are protected roles that are not going to be replaced by AI agents, in my opinion. So if you're thinking about a career, think about non-friction jobs, think about a job that adds value. The second thing is you can think about protected roles. And third thing, if you're a developer, think about orchestrating the project.
Okay. Uh, we have two more, and that's it. The first is about a comment that Duolingo CEO mentioned that his company is going AI first, something like that. And it's like so many companies are in the same position right now. And what do you think that when a company says that is saying that it's going to be a layoff of the company, or they mention about the employees that we want they do another task in research and innovation, something like that. But at the beginning, like in the background, the message could be that they are replacing employees for AI tools. So this is the first question. What do you think about that?
I think that's something that is sad, but undeniably true that it's going to happen in a lot of the companies, especially in the companies that go with the approach of AI first. And like I said, like the AI agents, you can think of them as a person. And so in that multi-agent system, they're like a company. So instead of managing employees, your employees are actually AI agents. So it's sad, but that's just something that we have to accept for some of the companies, because but that also creates opportunities for the developers as well. I would also say that, because I believe like for every SaaS company out there, there's an AI company that can open up for that particular SaaS product. For example, if there's a company for Google Drive, there could be a Google Drive AI for it. If there's a company for task management like Trello, there could be a similar AI company for it that generates the task automatically through AI agents or AI. So it opens up opportunities as well, but it's just the sad truth of some of the companies that go with the AI first approach of uh, reducing the number of employees and replacing them with AI agents or AI. What you can do is you can upgrade yourself, you can upskill yourself so that you become irreplaceable. That means that you can actually become an AI powered developer. So learn uh, new technology traits regarding AI, and I think that's going to help you in the job market, because I feel still, like I said, like orchestrating a project is a key skill, and for you to be able to use those AI agents, to be able to work with them, is going to be a key skill. So if you learn that skill, you're going to be ahead of the game from the rest of the team. Hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you. And the last one is this.
So, what should we learn about if we want to work on architectural administration or software administration and not coding? So, they are interrelated for sure. Like, you need to start with a little bit of coding, first one, but after that, a little bit of understanding of how the code works, then you need to understand the system as a whole, how they are actually created and why they are created that way. And what is an architecture is basically some proven methods of ways that from historically how humans have evolved patterns which worked for them for so long, and those patterns now help other developers to create systems which are reliable, scalable, efficient. So learning architectural administration involves reading books. It involves understanding the code as well, and then involves having some experience on in a development team. So whether it's working as a developer or working as a manager, having that experience of looking at a problem and how to solve a problem, because I've seen managers and I've seen architects who have no clue on the technology that is used to solve that problem, but they are um, open to reading about that technology, learning about that technology. And if the solution to that particular problem involves a technology that they are not familiar with, they're still open to using that technology. So being open to change, being open to learning new things, that is a key thing that an architectural administrator should do. um, and then if you're particularly interested as a step by step guide, I would say start by coding, then move into a team, look look at how an architectural administrator works, and then try to imitate them if you feel like they are a good architectural administrator. And then try to imitate them, and then you'll eventually become a good architect yourself. Hope that answers the question.
Yes, right. Okay, so thank you, Umer. Was a great time having you here with our community. Share your thoughts about this incredible topic that is really amazing, and you know too much about him, very much about it. And I hope you enjoy this space, and I invite the students and the people that connect today or to this transmission to follow Umer in LinkedIn. He shares a lot of good resources and talks in this space too. So follow him. I don't know. You want to know to say your last, your
Yeah,
final
yeah, of
thoughts
course.
about this talk.
Of course. No, thank you so much for having me. I loved giving information to the community, and I think this is a good platform. What you're doing to the like for the community, it's really awesome. I think that's the number one priority that I have in my career right now, is to make an impact and to help other people. And I think what you're doing right now with these podcasts and sharing different information, it's really helpful. The one final word I'd say is, like, whoever is watching this video, please leave a like and subscribe to Andres channel, and also put some comments. I'll definitely keep an eye out for the comments, and I'll uh, try to reply to all those comments as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, the comments will be open. Whatever you need. On hopefully we could share another space in the future. So thank you very much, and that's it. Goodbye. Have a good
Thank you
day.
so much. Bye.
Bye.